And welcome to Startup Street. I'm Arundhati Ramnan, and with me as always is Shruti Mishra. But today is a special day as we complete 3 years here at the startup team, and since the show started, we'd like to thank all our viewers, and what a journey it's been, Shruti.
Absolutely. It's been an incredible 3 years. You know, we started in 2019. We covered stories through the pandemic. Then 2021, we saw major valuations, major funding being raised, and cut to 2022. We're back to the fundamentals. VCs are looking at profitability, strong cash flows. So what an interesting time to be in and to be doing this show.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen startups boom. We've seen the precursor to that, and we're seeing it now. Absolutely right, Shruti. But it's been quite the journey. But on that note, let's take a look at the top headlines from the startup world. Blinkit partners with Unicorn, a premium reseller for Apple products in India, to deliver iPhones, iWatch, AirPods, and other accessories within minutes. For now, the quick delivery service is only available in Delhi and Mumbai.
Google-backed payments provider DotPay raises $54 million in its latest funding round, led by Temasek, with participation from PayU Fintech Investments, InfoEdge Ventures, and others, according to reports.
Cred plans to invest $10 million for a minority stake in peer-to-peer lending platform Liquiloans at a likely valuation of $200 million, seeking to grow its own P2P platform, Cred Mint.
Elon Musk accuses Twitter of fraud for concealing serious flaws in data security. The billionaire entrepreneur says this should allow him to end his $44 billion deal for the company, according to a Thursday court filing.
Uber says it is investigating a cybersecurity incident after a hacker suspected to be an 18-year-old allegedly hacked into Uber's Slack channels and sent a message to employees about the breach in the company's internal systems.
Well, those are the headlines we're tracking for you this evening. Homegrown fashion marketplace Myntra has announced the third edition of its big fashion festival, a festive fashion dhamaka that is scheduled to start on September 23rd. Myntra has added 1.5 times more styles compared to the previous edition of the same sale and is expecting roughly 6 million customers, higher than last year's 5.5 million, to shop during the big fashion festival. Now, to give us insights on the big fashion festival and the road ahead at Myntra, joining me now is its CEO, Nandita Sinha. Nandita, welcome to Startup Street. Celebrating the country's festive shopping spirit, you are expecting to witness a higher demand compared to previous years. How are you geared to meet this demand? You're looking at approximately 13,000 orders per minute at a peak. How are you geared up?
So before I begin, thank you so much for having me, but also congratulations on completing 3 years of Startup Street. It's been an incredible journey, as you said, and looking forward to the years ahead.
Thank you.
I think this year is very, very special for the festive season. After 2 years, consumers are really stepping out to celebrate. People are traveling to meet their families, celebrate with their friends, and really up their festive fashion. And that's where Myntra's BFF comes into play. How do we style these consumers as really the festive spirit gears up this year? We've seen great indications of it as we've entered the festive season with, the festivals of Rakhi, Ganesh Chaturthi, Onam, etc. We've seen a lot of growth happening across these months, and that's what we are hoping to see as we go forward. I think as we prep for the festive season, like you said, we have almost 6,000 brands that are participating in BFF edition this time, as well as 1.5 million styles, which is 1.5 times more than what it was last year. And that's what brings the excitement to the table. We have almost 100 plus new launches lined up. And like you said, on the tech side, we are gearing up for almost 9 lakh concurrent users at peak time. So that's really something that's how we are prepping for the festive season. We have 2 new properties, BFF Specials, which is merchandise that brands have created for our customers because they are really excited about this festive season, and a BFF Showstopper, which is like a daily festive dhamaka. So that's what's happening at our end as we prep for BFF.
All right, so lots of initiatives to woo shoppers, 100 plus new launches, that's what you said. But Nandita, Myntra's omni-channel play launched 2 years back by integrating with 1,000 stories from 100 brands has seen a massive scale up. This edition of Big Fashion Festival will see more than 300 brands from over 3,200 stores. What kind of GMVs are you expecting from this season?
while I won't be able to, talk about what kind of revenue we'll be expecting from this festive edition or the Omni channel, what I can tell you is that we are really, as you said, we've scaled 3 times over the last 3 years, and we've seen great traction across all of the Omni initiatives that we've been taking for the customer. 2 things I'd like to talk about, of what really has been happening in terms of growth. Speed has been a major initiative behind which we've invested. Myntra Express was launched early this year in April, and we are already seeing great traction where our metro, D2 speeds as well as overall speeds have seen a great increase over the platform. So our metro speeds have our D2 speeds have increased by 67%. So speed is something which we will really, really invest behind. Omni is one such channel which allows us to play across the ecosystem and invest in speed to serve our customers better. So that's really our play on Omni, and we'll continue to provide speed and service to our customers.
Okay, all right. Let's now talk about how you'll deliver the massive orders that you're expecting. Who have you partnered with? What is the preparedness there?
Yeah. So I think as we look at the festive season, what we've been able to do is actually create 16,000 plus employment opportunities across the value chain, in logistics, in supply chain, in call centers, as well as warehouses, etc. And these opportunities, I think what really is very heartwarming is to see that around 2,500 of these opportunities have been filled by women colleagues and women employees, as well as 300 by people with disabilities. So I think we are, we have created, these employment opportunities across the ecosystem, as well as ensured that our commitment to, inclusion and diversity remains as we scale up our ecosystem and the employment opportunities. I think what is also very, very interesting for us is that we have 21,000 Kirana stores that we partner with through our Mensa network, and they will actually fulfill 80% of our orders during BFF. So these 2 pieces are really, really interesting, as we not only, the festive season is not just for the brands and the sellers and the platform, but also as we tap into the ecosystem and grow the ecosystem and expand the ecosystem.
Sure. Okay, so 6 million unique customers expected to shop. What was the average order value in the last festive sale, and what are you expecting this season? Also, if you could tell me, what will your top selling categories be?
Sure. No, it's an interesting question. And I think what is interesting about this year's festive season is the fact that it is not just about an individual, but it's about the family. I think consumers are buying for the family, and they're buying the entire look, they're buying the entire ensemble, and for different social occasions that are lined up for the festive season. And what that means for us is that across all categories, we see a huge growth. If you look at categories which were fairly nascent earlier, the teens wear and the kids wear, we actually see this festive edition, we will provide 30,000 plus styles for BFF for these categories, which means that, this is a category that has grown along with categories like jewelry, footwear. But what is very, very interesting is the kind of growth that we are seeing in beauty and personal care.
Okay.
This is a category which has been of strategic interest for us, and consumers are really, really lapping this up. We have 2 times that what we have last year. So apart from apparel, we see all of the categories growing, because this festive season is about shopping the look and shopping for the family.
Okay, let's now talk about live commerce. It has become a big opportunity for e-commerce on the lines of, Alibaba's Singles Day. What is your plan for live commerce, and what kind of traffic will you be tracking?
Sure. I think, like you said, live commerce is something which has really is in the investment and nurturing stage for the last 1 year. We've been very, very actively investing in the ecosystem and building the space and being the front runner of this. And this festive season in BFF, this edition also, we will see a huge play of live commerce through our Myntra Lives, which are actually built for creating huge engagement on the platform for the brands and for the different offerings that are there for the customers. We will have close to 350 plus lives in the BFF, season, as well as 2,000 creators participating with it. I think what's also interesting is activating the social media ecosystem outside of the platform. We've launched something called Myntra Creator Pass, which allows almost 1 lakh creators to experience the live, get a sneak peek to the event before BFF begins. And we're really looking forward to their engagement on that.
All right, let's talk about the brand's growth. If you could take me through the current business growth numbers, what's the top line looking like? And also, what are the losses? Where are the losses currently standing at?
I won't be able to give you exact numbers, but I can tell you we are from all of the preparation that we are doing, it's evident, we are growing at a comfortable rate. We are really looking forward to a very, very big festive season, a very big BFF, because we are seeing all of the internal as we look at the metrics and the going in signs, consumption is picking up. People are wanting to celebrate, and we are really prepping for big numbers as we go forward.
And, as far as the IPO plans go, any timelines that you can share?
We'll keep you posted whenever there is some to share on that front. But yeah.
All right, let's talk about competition. How do you view it? Especially during the festive season where almost all e-commerce companies have their big sale days with similar kind of offerings and brands. What's the Myntra edge?
Sure. I think what has worked for us all through the years is really focusing on the customer. And what has been interesting in the Indian space is very interesting because actually it is, it is a large space and there is so many opportunities that we see with the customers. As we go into the festive season, I think three things will continue to be our edge. Our selection. We've been partnering with various international brands as we launch them in the country. We've launched almost 15 brands this year, and 8 more are to come. Macy's is getting launched in the country for the first time on Myntra as part of BFF. And there are, and I think the idea is to bring the best of the world fashion to the country. So we have brands from Turkey, which are Trendyol, or Italy, Free Soul, or even a South Korean brand that we're just launching called 8 Seconds. Along with that, I think a huge, how do we enable the D2C ecosystem and brands? I think those are things which will help us.
Okay. All right, Nandita, we've completely run out of time, but many thanks for joining us on Startup Street today, and wish you the very best with this big fashion sale and, of course, with all the growth plans at Myntra. Many thanks.
Thank you so much, and pleasure being here. Thank you. Thank you.
Moving on, ocean farming startup Sea6 Energy bagged $18.5 million in a Series B funding round from the likes of BASF Venture Capital and Aqua Spark. The startup, which produces and processes tropical red seaweed, is focused on reducing India's dependency on imported oil by replacing fossil fuels with biofuels. While this endeavor is still a while away, the company has converted the seaweed into biostimulants and hopes to become a $100 million company. Here's a report by me and Jacilia K on how Sea6 Energy is contributing to India's blue economy.
Deep down in the sea thrives red seaweed, naturally working towards mitigating climate change by reducing effects of ocean acidification and deoxygenation. Red seaweed, also called Asparagopsis, flourishes largely in the tropical waters in Asia that provide a conducive environment for them to grow.
When we grow seaweed, we actually absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. If there's a runoff of nutrients, we can absorb that from the oceans. So growing seaweed is really very healthy for the oceans.
Bengaluru-based biofuel company Sea6 Energy is in the business of growing red seaweed and turning it into biostimulant products used to protect crops and feed for animals. However, the startup understands that the potential and wealth of red seaweed doesn't need to end there and hopes to use this precious plant to create biofuels that can replace fossil fuels. The startup, which was incubated in IIT Madras in 2010, enjoys the first mover benefit, admits Sri Kumar.
Everything that we are doing actually improves and works towards mitigating climate change.
Some of the company's commercialized products include AgroGrain biostimulant, AgFort, which promotes plant health, and animal feed additives. But Sea6 Energy has bigger plans for products it is developing and those that haven't found a market yet.
And our ultimate goal is to make India self-sufficient in its energy needs by actually carrying out agriculture on sea, by growing a lot of seaweeds and using those seaweeds to ultimately convert into biofuel to replace all the crude oil that we import. So that's the goal of the company. And on the way, we have many pit stops that seaweed can be converted into crude oil. Okay. Now, in order for that to become a reality, we need to be able to make sure that the seaweed is produced at very low prices and on very large quantities. That involves ocean farming at scale, very large scale. And therefore, what C6 is doing is inventing all the necessary technologies to cultivate the oceans on a large scale, like inventing sea tractors, for example, and also the associated technologies to convert the seaweed that is produced into useful products. Now, what happens is that this is a long journey.
C6 has developed technology that allows it to go into deep waters to farm seaweed. Currently, it is selling seaweed-based products that have commercial value, even though the products are costlier than the average fertilizer available in the market. The biostimulant is a patented product which is exported to the US, Europe, Southeast Asia, and even Latin America. C6 Energy is also witnessing an increase in demand for its feed additive for shrimp and fish production as well.
So the way we have gone around addressing this is to look at other products that we could be making from seaweed, which can be made profitably, even when the seaweed prices are higher than our ultimate goal. So, for example, one of the first products that we have commercialized is a product for agriculture. So it's a biostimulant. And what it does is that it improves the efficiency with which plants utilize fertilizer. It improves the photosynthetic efficiency of plants. And therefore, when you use the biostimulant product, which we have derived from our seaweed, it's a patented product, then you can get anywhere between 10 to 30% more yield from the same cultivated area. So that's very, very beneficial.
As per FAO data, nearly 35 million tons of seaweed was produced in 2019 globally, about half of which is red seaweed. Meanwhile, the market volume for seaweed products was almost $17 billion in 2020 and is projected to grow at a CAGR of 12.6% to reach $30.2 billion by 2025, according to markets and market data. In case of India, it produced a meager 34,000 tons of seaweed in 2021, according to the Central Marine Fisheries Research Institute, but India has the potential to produce around 9.7 million tons of seaweed per year, added CMFRI. The government has earmarked 640 crore rupees exclusively under the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana to promote seaweed production in the country and targeted production of more than 11.2 lakh tons by 2025. For C6 Energy, such government schemes will help the overall development of the seaweed ecosystem. At present, the company is eyeing around $8 to $10 million in revenue and aspires to become a $100 million company in the next few years. But to meet this growth aspiration, the company will need more funds to build production facilities for their next range of products and furthering the research in biodegradable products. In Mumbai, with Jasilia K. Arundhati Ramanan.
Well, that's C6 Energy's bid to help make our planet more sustainable. But it is Friday and it's time to take stock of all the deals for this week from the startup world. Aru, you've got all the data, so take it off.
Well, thanks for that. Here's how the startup ecosystem fared when it came to deals this week. The Indian startup ecosystem witnessed a total of 18 deals valued at over $182 million as per Venture Intelligence. In 2022 so far, the startup space has seen 883 deals valued at over $20 billion. Speaking of some of the notable deals this week, electric bikes rental player Yulu bagged $82 million from Canadian automotive parts maker Magna and Bajaj Auto. Fintech firm DotPay raised $55 million from Temasek, InfoEdge Ventures and others. That's not all. Log9 Material got over $9 million from Amara Raja Batteries. Video analytics platform Aviros raised $7 million from the likes of Inflexor Ventures, Xfinity Venture Partners and Veda VC. And fintech startup Centricity bagged $4 million from Berman Family Offices and others.
Well, with that, it's time for us to head into a short break. But coming up on the show, Better Place launches Frontline Index report for 2022, finds that India created 8 million frontline jobs, a special conversation with the founders of Better Place. Stay tuned.